I imagine that you come to prep with all sorts of hopes and expectations, as any senior in high school would, for yourself and for the year, and especially in this kind of strange circumstance that we're in, that hopefully will start to feel more regular. You left here as a junior with ideas of how you would finish your junior year, and now you enter as a group of seniors who have not sat together as a class since the Ash Wednesday prayer service on February 26th, where some of the seniors at the time gave reflections leading us into Lent. I'm guessing it probably feels foreign in some ways to be here, or maybe it feels like putting on an old sweater, so I hope it's a healthy mix of both. As you walk around the building, things will look a little different. Classrooms have less desks in them. There's spaces that have desks in them that don't usually. So it's going to feel a little weird. But I know that if there's any group of kids who can lead the rest of the students through this, it's going to be you guys. I know that at orientation, I probably regularly tell you the story about when I was a freshman at Scranton Prep. Father Keller was in his first year as principal. And he said, if all we do is get you to complete and be successful with all your academic goals, then we have 100% failed you. And I just want to remind you of that because I think it's really easy on the first day of school for a senior in high school to be coming in with a lot of academic goals in your mind. And none of them are bad. I just don't want them to be your only goals. I'm sure you're thinking about your college applications, you're thinking about your schedule. You're hoping that you get good grades. But remember the graduates in the dining hall, right? There's 4 other things that we're supposed to be working on. Being open to growth, being loving, being religious, and being committed to doing justice. And you've been working on those goals this whole time, even through the pandemic. So I just want to remind you that we're here for those goals as well. I also remind you of our visit from Father Boyle. Do you remember Father Greg Boyle when he came to visit here? And he told us that prep is not the place you've come to, it's the place you go from. And you go from here to create a community of kinship such that God, in fact, might recognize it. You need to imagine you need to imagine a circle of compassion, and then imagine no one standing outside that circle. You go from prep here to dismantle the barriers that exclude. Exclusion has a whole new thing right now, a whole new meaning in terms of a pandemic. Right? There's all the old ways we understand exclusion, correct? The marginalized, maybe someone who doesn't have a voice. But also we want to be careful we're not excluding people in this kind of strange situation that we're in right now. And we want to make sure we're taking care of each other. So I have 2 questions for you to think about before we go into prayer, as we go into prayer here. What do Father Keller's and Father Boyle's challenges say to you personally? And how do they affect you as a class? I think it's important that by the time you're seniors, you start thinking of yourself as the class of 2021. What will our legacy be? How will people describe us? My first day as principal, when we had a team meeting, so Mr. Henfling, Ms. Thurston, Mr. McGovern, Mrs. Marks, and Mrs. Yanofsky, we sat down and we talked about how do we hope people will describe us as a team. I think those kind of goals are really good to have because they help us keep each other in check. You know, and they help encourage us when maybe I'm grumpy one day, and I hope that the teachers see me as approachable and helpful, but I come in one day on the wrong side of the bed. Well, my teammates help me remember what our goals are for our team. So I want you to think of your class as a team. How do you hope that you'll be remembered and described? And don't wait till graduation for that description. Start having that description now. I hope that you'll be described as excellent examples of servant leadership. Servant leadership is a big term. You may have heard of it in theology. Jesus is our model of servant leadership. Jesus had a vision. He shared his vision. He inspired others to follow that vision, and he rallied people to try to do the hard thing. So how can you be described as a class of servant leaders? You need to have a strong vision of your common goal for your class and for prep. You are the culture setters of the school now. Teachers can say whatever we want, but kids are going to look to you, the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors are looking to you, just in the same way when you were a freshman, you looked to the seniors. Remember how old they seemed? Do you remember how grown up they seemed? That's you now, even though you might not feel that grown up. They're looking at you exactly the same way you looked at the seniors when you were a freshman. You have to be willing to share your vision with others, both talking the talk and walking the walk. If it's important to you for your class to be described in a particular way and for the school to have a culture a certain way, you have to be willing to share it with people and articulate it so they know that we're all working towards that goal. You have to be willing to inspire people when they don't want to follow the vision and rally people to follow your example. So we pray with all this in mind, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Before we begin our prayer for the year, I would like to take a moment for all of us to silently say a prayer in our heart for Chase Stevens' mother, who continues to heal and recover from a very serious car accident last week. We pray for God's blessings and healing for Mrs. Stevens and for comfort for Chase and for his family. During this unique time of being a high school senior and the time of an extended crisis of this pandemic, we pray. Lord, may we, who are merely inconvenienced, remember those whose lives are at stake. May we, who have no risk factors, remember those most vulnerable. May we, who have the luxury of working from home, remember those who must choose between preserving their health or making the rent. May we, who have the flexibility to care for our children when their schools close, remember those who have no options. May we, who have to cancel our trips, remember those that have no safe place to go. May we, who are losing our margin money in the tumultuous time of the economic market, remember those who have no margin at all. As fear grips our country, let us choose love. During this time when we cannot physically wrap our arms around each other, let us find ways to be the loving neighbors that we can be and embrace God within our neighbors. Grant, gentle Father, that your Spirit may give us the will and the courage to act, to make a difference, not just in light of the pandemic, but in all ways, that we make real your kingdom among us, so that we may all live together in peace, truth, justice, and love, sharing our gifts and talents individually and as a class to better the world around us. Help us to go forth and set the world on fire. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Before we have some people come up to the podium and talk to you, I want you to practice one thing. We did this with a freshman. Smiling with a mask on is noticeable. So I want you to turn to your neighbor on the right and on the left, and I want you to smile, and I want you to see that you can tell that people smile. And I know I always do hokey stuff, so just go with me. Look at each other and smile. Say hello. Smile. See the difference? You can see when someone smiles. See? Very good. All right. Thank you. That was very good. A couple of things about we have some new people to welcome in the building. And some of them you may not have, but I hope that you'll go out of your way to introduce yourself to them, just the same way the seniors introduced themselves to me when I was a first-year member of the prep administration, even though I didn't have them in class. Mr. Plackey joins the theology department. Mr. O'Connor joins the social studies department. Mr. Wolkers joins the school counseling department. Ms. Schoenberg is going to return to prep and work in the college guidance department. Mr. Bernosky is our greeter. Ms. Jeffers will be working with Mrs. Marks in the front office, helping me and the principal's team. Ms. Martin is not new, but she now is Ms. Casey, and she will be our theology department chair. And Mr. Gaffredo will be our social studies department chair. And last but not least, we have a whole group of people we could not have used this model if we didn't have their help. I affectionately call them our support staff, because they are greatly supporting us. But there are about 20 plus people who have graciously agreed to help us with some supervision around the school. Some of them are sitting up in the balcony right now. They will be in these spaces and just trying to help keep you guys in order, but I know you won't have any problem with that. Or they might be in the halls. So there's now a hall monitor. I know you read that in the plan. Because we do have to keep capacities in the bathroom, and we can't tell how many people are in the bathroom from the outside. It's not like a confessional with a green and a red light, you know. So the hall monitors will help us with that. You'll give them your phone, and which will maybe have your ID in that little pocket. they can keep track of how many people are in there. And for contact tracing, which is a part of our normal life now, kind of keep track of who was in there at what time. The better we are at that, the better we can get over any hiccups when someone tests positive, and just isolate who needs to quarantine and who doesn't need to quarantine. You may or may not know, contact with a person who tests positive requires quarantining. So that's just a necessary thing. And so we want to do that really well so we can have as much of the school working at normal pace as possible. But would you do me a favor, would you please welcome our support staff with a nice round of applause.
That took me a while, but we'll all get there in time. It's just like anything in life, we have to practice it and live in it and get used to it for a little bit. So I'm going to keep my remarks short because I know there are other people who want to speak and nobody wants to hear me speak for too long. So just going off of what Ms. Coop said, all this is a team effort, team effort with the administration, the staff, with your teachers, and also with you too. This can't work unless we all pitch in. And, if you're on any kind of team, whether it's an athletic team or an orchestra or choir or, prep players, think about what you do for a team and think about what you do for a family. We talk about prep family and how we take care of one another, and this is an important part of taking care of one another. So really quick, just the big thing, right now is schedules. And I know I've talked to some of you, and I apologize. The past couple weeks, Mrs. Thurston and Ms. Coop and I just have a lot of emails. I'm trying to keep up and follow up with them. And, sometimes I get some Mrs. Thurston, sometimes she gets on mine. So I just appreciate your patience with that. As Ms. Coop said, scheduling was really, really difficult this year. It's difficult any year, and it's always a challenge, and especially with seniors, because there are so many different electives and they all kind of fit. We have to fit them into 8 periods. It's always inevitable that there are going to be conflicts, and just know that we really do our best to give students the courses that they request. And Mrs. Thurston and I worked really hard on that. She did a great job with that, along with me. So just a few things in terms of schedules too. One thing that comes up every year with seniors in particular is that sometimes you might see a conflict on your schedule. You might see that you have a science lab when you have another class. Does anybody have those? A few of them? Yeah. That's normal. I've had that all the time when I had honors Latin, where I had students either in AP Bio and that ran into my class once a cycle, or AP Physics. So don't worry about that. The key thing is that you communicate with your teachers about that, about when you might have lab, when you're might be out, and what you might miss that day, and catching up on your work. Communication is really the key there. So just if you have that schedule, make sure that you're communicating with your teachers about what work you're doing, where you're supposed to be. I don't know how it's going to work this year in terms of schedules. If that might actually be easier to deal with now. So, in terms of scheduling, it's been I said before, it's been a big challenge. Mrs. Thurston and I had to break up all the classes into rosters, into purple and gold. And we got a lot of questions about, well, can I be purple? Can I be gold? And it's really not easy when we're dealing with half sizes of classes, and we have rooms that can either fit 11 or 12 or 13 or 14. If you have a class of 25 kids and 17 want to be gold, well, we don't have room to do that safely. So I hope you understand that. We've tried to give you as much flexibility and options as we can with this in-person model and a virtual model and being able to leave midday. So, you know, we're really trying to be flexible, but there are even limits in terms of what we are able to do. So please know that. Going by purple and gold and green, you might have noticed you have some of those different colors. Just make sure that you kind of follow your schedules carefully with that in terms of, you know, what letter day it is and where you're supposed to be. It's going to be a bit confusing at first. We're going to have to practice it, and that's why we're here, to rehearse it and go over it and get good at that. You know, but we'll learn it. But just make sure that you're being careful about that and where it is you're supposed to be on any given day. And then as Ms. Coop said too, make sure that you are checking in on Moodle. And some of your teachers might use other things. They might use Shomi. You know, they might primarily use Moodle, but you know, at least just check in with Moodle to make sure that in terms of any assignments, or your Moodle page might direct you and say, but please check Shomi for assignments. So, and if you're having issues with that, just make sure to communicate with your teacher. Really, communication is going to be big this year. Communication, making sure that we are all doing what we're supposed to be doing. It took a lot of work this year to get to where we are, and so much of that is on, you know, due to that work of so many people working as a team, especially Ms. Coop. She doesn't like to take a lot of credit, but I'll give her credit where credit's due. But yeah, we have to work on it as a team together on this. And then finally, because I need to give this the over, I've talked too long, you know, I'm just privileged to, this is my 3rd year now with you and being your class dean. So, you know, it's been a joy getting to know you, and I hope to get you to know you even better, especially those of you I don't know as well as I'd like, and I really just hope you have a great senior year. All right? Thank you, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's just so nice to see everyone here today. I am just going to share with you some important things that are coming out of the College Admission Counseling Office. So the first one is, it's going to be important for you to check your prep email regularly. It is the main way that we're going to communicate with you. We've been doing that so far, so if you haven't received any email from us, let us know. Colleges will also be communicating with you regularly through emails. So it's important that you stay engaged and in communication with us. We still will be meeting with you individually, we'll still be meeting with you in small groups, and certainly on Zoom, so we're looking forward to having more interactions with you. The second thing is, if you have not already handed in your senior questionnaire, please do that as soon as possible. I think what you might not be aware of is that this year, with many schools implementing test optional policies, the admission reps we've spoken to have said they're going to look more carefully at all other aspects of your application process, and letters of recommendation are one of them. So with the information that you share on the senior questionnaire, we can enhance the letter that we write for you, and we really want to do the very best we can for you in that regard. The third thing, you already know that we're going to be administering the SAT on October 14th in school. If you have an interest in participating, you need to register by this Friday. So you all received an email with a link for registering for that. We're also excited that we're going to be administering the ACT on Saturday, October 24th, here in the building with just for prep students. And so within a day or two, we'll be pushing out some information about how you go about registering for that. So we're excited about that if that's something that you want to do. Obviously, more schools have gone test optional, so if you choose not to take a test, just make sure you're working with your college counselor about, what schools have gone test optional. And it's important for you to understand too, many colleges have test optional policies that differ right? Every school has a different policy, and sometimes it applies to certain majors, so we have to work closely with you if that's the path that you choose. The fourth and final thing that I wanted to mention is college visits. So in the past, college admission reps would travel to prep, do like a 30-minute information session with students who signed up in advance because they had an interest in that particular college. This year, it's going to be all virtual. So Mrs. Sweeney's been busy scheduling these with admission reps, and they're going to be through September, October, probably into the first 2 weeks of November. And our very first one is this Thursday at 6 p.m. with the University of Pittsburgh. So if that's a school that you have an interest in, just go into your Naviance account and you could sign up for that. When you register, you're just going to be in a position to receive an email the day of the event to log into that Zoom session. Those are personalized just for prep kids. So of course you can go to a college's website and click on, a virtual tour, talk to an admissions counselor. This is going to be relevant just for prep students. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to learn more about colleges, to learn more about their specific application processes. And I think that's really different this year, right? With like, what does test optional mean? And what are they looking for in application processes? So I guess the third benefit too is it gives you an opportunity to demonstrate interest with that college. So not all colleges measure demonstrated interest, but of those that do, they're going to track who attended those sessions. So we would really like you, when you get a chance, log into Naviance and you'll see the list that's already started. Mrs. Sweeney's working on that, and it's being added to every day. They're just wonderful opportunities for you to make some connections with some admission representatives. And keep this in mind, there's thousands and thousands of colleges, right? And they all need students, so they really want to talk to you. So keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, so those are the four things. So check your prep emails, hand in your senior questionnaire, sign up for college visits, and if you're considering SAT and ACT, make sure you register before the deadline. And I guess the last thing I want to say is all of us in the counseling, college counseling office, Mr. Bailey, Mrs. Sweeney, Michelle Schoenberg, and I, we're just really excited to work with you. And we just want you to know that we're committed to working with you through this entire process. So best of luck in your senior year. Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is actually incredible to see 60% of your faces. So thank you for being here today. It really is fantastic. We haven't really seen all of you like this since March. So really quick story. Yesterday, I live in Tunkhannock, in full disclosure, Halloween time. Don't toilet paper in my house, but I live in Tunkhannock. And I was jogging yesterday doing a virtual 10K. And I get up the trail and I pass somebody that I thought had a very, very familiar face to me, sitting on a bench with this really massive, slobbery black dog. So I keep on jogging up the hill. I get to the end of my trail, and then I start coming back down the trail. And then I saw these cute little girls walking on the side of the trail. And then I saw two women. And then in front of them, still sitting on a bench, having not moved at all in probably 7 to 10 minutes, was the same guy. So I slowed down and I got a good look at him. And you guys may not remember who this individual was, but his name is Mr. Kilker. So Mr. Kilker let his family walk as he sat with this big dog. And I was running for time. It was a 10K, and I wanted to beat a time. But I did want to make sure that I acknowledged him and that I said hello to him. So I did that. I said, Mr. Kilker, how you doing? He said, great, really great. And he said, do me a favor and tell the seniors and the faculty that I said hello. And I said, I'll do that. And then for the full length of time it took me to get away from him, he laughed. He just laughed. So I can't say as though I share the same sense of humor with him, but I'm sharing the fact that Mr. Kilker wanted me to welcome you guys back to prep, welcome you to your senior year. and tell all of you, well, including the faculty. You might still be sitting on that bench, I don't know. But I wanted to share that with you guys. We are starting off the year much different than we ever had. The freshmen have orientation in a way that we have never had. So my first message to all of you guys, and in the beginning of the year, the best part of the beginning of the year, I know, is when I do that PowerPoint up here, and you guys get to learn all about the rules that you already know, and I get to regurgitate it all back to you and remind you about how important it is, and you guys laugh at my really awesome, funny jokes, and we all have a great time, and then you leave. I don't get to do that PowerPoint this time, so I don't have a half hour. I've got about 10 minutes, and I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Zeleniak. So there's a few things that I want to get out to you that I feel that I'm going to strip away from all of that is the most important that I want you to walk out of this room with. I talked to the freshmen about respect and how I want them to respect their faculty. And that Mr. Henfling that they see when they leave the classroom after disrespecting the faculty is not the same Mr. Henfling that they normally would see if they just get in trouble and they go, or if they want to talk, or if I call them to talk about something. But the respect that I'm asking you to give this year is a little bit different than the respect that I'm talking to them about. This is hard. This is a hard summer. People are facing things in their life that they may never have faced before. People will get sick. People will get better. Families will get tired, and they will get stressed. You must, you need to, you will, you have to allow people to come to school and have a bad day, days, or a week. Please respect your faculty, respect each other. This is our first pandemic. We are not experts at it yet. Hopefully, we never have another one in our lifetime. But this is our first one. Be good to each other. That starts with not having something on Instagram, like Instagram tea or a shade account, which I was informed of. Please, let's not do that. Let's not spread things about each other, say things about each other that we wouldn't want said or spread about ourselves. When you were a freshman, we had a really awesome demonstration with me and another guidance counselor where we squeezed toothpaste out of the tube, and we said once it's out of the tube, it never goes back in. And that's true to this day. Toothpaste still doesn't go back into a tube. So once it's out there, and it hurts people. This is the year we need to be better, we need to do better, and we will. Okay. Parking. I know a lot of you have already registered for parking, that's great. Take the next week and a half to 2 weeks to continue to do that. I am not going to hand out parking tags yet. I'm going to give you the next figure 2 weeks, so all of this week and all of next week to get your parking tags. Go online, register, Dean's Corner. There's an option for student parking, fill out your parking. I will announce times that I will be ready for you in a location that I can hand out your parking tag. You guys can't come into my office 10 at a time anymore and just grab a tag. To help you, to help me, we just won't be able to do that. Okay? Gym class. We will have gym class. You will come to school dressed for gym class, and you will stay dressed at gym class, but it's not going to be for everybody, so we only have a handful of people every day that should be in gym clothes. Make sure your gym clothes are appropriate. Sneakers, socks, no cutoff t-shirts, regular t-shirts that come down to at least your waist, if not a tad bit longer, but not down to your knees. Shorts that are appropriate, mesh shorts, cotton shorts, even yoga pants down to your ankles are fine. Longer shorts that are like yoga pants are fine, but no Nike Pros, no Softies, nothing like that. There's not many of you that are going to be dressed for gym class, so if it gets pointed out to me or somebody else, they will get back to me, we will talk to you. If you leave your house and think that this is probably not appropriate, it's not. Please don't wear it. Like I said, there's not a lot of places for you to hide, and you're one of the only few people that are wearing gym clothes throughout the day. I'll still talk to you. It might be awkward, but we'll still have that conversation. What else? I wrote down a whole list of stuff that I want to talk about, and I want to make sure that I make sure I didn't forget any of it. Okay, distancing. In the building, you're going to hear it over and over and over again. Please make sure you distance away from each other. People in your age group, they fare pretty well. They still get sick. We have some people in the building every day. You have some people in your homes that don't always do so well. We don't want to spread anything to them. Please wear your mask. If you're 30, 40 feet away, like I am now, you can ask permission. But for the most part, none of you will be. You're going to be like you are now, and your mask must be worn. It's not a prep rule. We are going by federal, state, and local guidelines with this. CDC. This is what they recommend. This is not a political statement. Please wear your mask. It's an easy way that we can keep each other safe. Finally, every year I talk about vaping. I'm not going to stay up here to say, stop, everybody quit. But what I will tell you is you need your lungs now more than you ever have. Take care of them. Take care of your heart. Take care of your lungs. Take care of your friends and your family. You will not be allowed to have more than 3 people in the bathroom at one time. So I will personally take offense to the fact that you go into the bathroom and abuse the time that you have in there. Because there are people that want to go in there and they'll be told no. It's not like we can go in there between classes and hang out and talk to each other and look on our phones. We're not doing that right now. We should never have done it, but we're especially not doing it now. Respect each other. That's what this year comes down to. I don't really have too much else right now at the moment. So many.
Joe, start the year. What's up? Not sure if you just got dissed by Mr. Hefflin when you say you like seeing 60% of your face. I don't know whether that was square inches or 60% of you.
Face.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. I don't want to exclude anybody from that just in case. I hope you're all well, and I hope you remain well for the rest of the senior year that hopefully you will get to live out until your graduation and your commencement, okay? That was moved last week. Used to be over there. Now it's over there. You're the seniors, you're the leaders, okay? I probably won't take my mask off all day long unless I'm sitting alone in my office. I expect the same from all of you and from every faculty member and every other student in the building, unless you're eating or taking a drink from your water bottle. Masks are proven to keep us safe during the coronavirus pandemic. You all have great masks on today. Okay, so those are the ones we would like you to wear, and those are the ones we encourage you to wear. So thank you for coming in with proper protection, because that mask is doing some for you, but it's doing so much more for all of us. So thank you for that. If you don't have a mask or you have a problem getting masks, I want you to let me know. nurse@grantprep.org, stop in my office, leave me a note in my office. Okay? We want you to make sure you stay safe, and you keep your family safe, and you keep all of us safe in the faculty. Try not to touch your mask, because my mask protects you, and your mask protects me. So if your mask is protecting you in some sort, and you touch it, now someone's DNA droplet material is on the outside of your mask, protecting you from inhaling it and getting coronavirus. So the next thing you touch now has that DNA on it. So don't touch your masks if you can help it, okay? It's very annoying. There's no one more annoyed with masks than me. Trust me. You might be as annoyed as me, but you're not more annoyed as me. Okay, I can't wait to get out of the building every day and rip this off my face. I get that. Okay? So masks are really, really Next, social distancing. 6 feet means 6 feet. The worst thing about social distancing is it is so foreign to all of us as loving people on the planet. We're used to talking to one another. We're used to being near to one another. We're used to putting arm around a shoulder to console you or to help you or to comfort you. Now they tell us we can't do that anymore. It's very foreign to all of us. I hope we only become accustomed to it for a very short period of time. And then we can get back in touch with one another, literally and figuratively. Washing your hands. I sanitized in the hall, I sanitized on the way up the steps. Everybody that's used this podium has wiped it. I've not touched the podium. Have you noticed that? Not touched it. I won't touch it. Because the next person coming up then doesn't have to be sanitized except where my paper is. Okay? It needs to be wiped. My DNA, my germs, my viral droplets, everything's on your paper. So anything you touch should be wiped. You're in a particular seat right now, okay? That took Ms. Kupolari 3 days to give every one of 675 students in this building a particular seat. That's your seat. No one else is going to sit there. No one else is going to sit there. That's your seat. At the end of the day, this building will be clean. Those seats will be wiped. So sit in the seat that you're in. That's your seat. Okay? When you go to your classroom, that's your seat. Okay? Teachers are going to clean the classrooms after you sat in that seat. This is your seat in your ILS. So be comfortable with that. Know that we're keeping you safe. Wash your hands. There's hand sanitizer everywhere in the building. All right? There's signs everywhere in the building. I've started to call the signs that I found litter because they're all over. Okay? Some of them are corny. Take them as such. But take them seriously in the fact that they give direction as far as what we need to do to keep our community safe. Okay? Probably some of you would want to stay home. Like, what the hell? I'll go on Zoom, I'll sleep, I'll take a nap, I'll shut off the teacher, I'll do whatever. But many of you probably were sick of that. And those of you that stayed home for 6 months are probably happy to be back here. We've done a lot of planning. She's done a lot of planning. You guys are the biggest part of that equation. That's no bullshit. You're the biggest part. You need to be safe. You need to follow the rules. You need to live your pledge right now. Wash your hands. Go to the bathroom, 20 seconds. It's an eternity to sing happy birthday twice. I'm so old I don't like people singing happy birthday to me at all, let alone twice. That was a joke. Come on. All right? Wash your hands. Use hand sanitizer when you leave the classroom. You go to the bathroom. You're coming out of the bathroom. You go back in the classroom. Before you eat, after you eat. And every other time you stay in the building. Transmission will drop. We'll be safe if we all do that. Okay? We're going to walk on the right side of the stairwells, or on the right side of the hallways, and their stairwells are marked. I'm sure Ms. Coop will go over that with me in rehearsal. Please pay attention to that. If I find you going the wrong way, I'm going to give you a dub. Nothing personal, but it won't be completely personal at that moment. If you don't feel well, stay home. If you're sick when you come to the building, you get sick while you're in the building, you still have to come to my office on the 4th floor. If you feel really crappy and you don't think you can get to the 4th floor, we can't send somebody with you now. Why? Because of coronavirus. So I'll have to come to you. So if you feel well enough to get to my office, we'll trust that you're telling us that you're okay to do that. But if you faint, you're that girl or that boy that fainted. Okay? So that's not a good one. There's X's on the floor by my office. My desk they all say things that are important to you, and to me, and to all of us. Okay? Please knock on the door. If I don't answer, find an adult and have them call me. I always have my radio and I always have my cell phone. If I'm out of the building, I might be out of my office, I might be helping someone else in the building. Social distancing is in practice in my office. If you're sick and I find out you have a temperature and a new cough or a sore throat, or you can't smell your gym shoes, there's a special room that you'll go to, and then your parent will be called to come home. In that case, I would suggest that you would go and have a coronavirus test, and then you would wait at home, quarantining until you get the results of that test. If someone in your household or someone you've had close contact with has had a coronavirus test, or is presumed to have had coronavirus, or is waiting for the result of a coronavirus test, you need to quarantine for 14 days. Okay? That's no joke. So if your Aunt Sally came to visit from Florida, and she stayed in your house, and now she went back to Florida yesterday, and she's sick. And Aunt Sally calls and said, I had a coronavirus test. Guess what? You're home. You're home. That's important. Because if Aunt Sally has it, chances are you've been exposed. Will you get it? I don't know. The virus doesn't care who it affects. Okay? That's important. Anybody not understand that? If you have a coronavirus test, or someone in your household has a positive coronavirus test, we need to know that. It's important for us to keep everybody safe, for us to have that information. Please share it with us, with Poop, or with me. Okay? It's very important. All right? If you have a positive coronavirus test, you need to isolate. You need to be away from everybody in your house. You've heard all this 100 times since March 13th. That's the last day we were in the building. Somehow, this administration got that ban removed. We graduated a class of 165 seniors. In person, on the field. Not sure if you saw it or not. It was pretty well done. Janine Tabbert did a fantastic job. Her production company was superior. And that's who did that. So you look at that. So now, we've done our work. A shitload of it. I'm not even kidding. It's up to you. Keep us safe. Keep yourself safe. Keep us in the building. So that in less than 10 months, we take that down. And we graduate you in person too. The virus does not care. Does not care. Some of you have already been affected by it. The virus doesn't care. We didn't get one, raise your hand. Mr. Bailey's going to give you a white phone wallet if you didn't get one. At the entrance, you should have got the phone wallet to put your ID in. Your ID will have, we hope you have your barcode across the top. Mr. Bailey, can you hand them out? Can you hand them out to the kids that have their hands raised? And there's some right here. So, on the back of your phone, you put your phone wallet. Alright? Your barcode should stick up. When you come back in the building, hopefully Rovna will work. You swipe it on Rovna, it tells us your parents did the health check and that you're healthy to be here. If you're not approved, you're going to be set to the side, we're going to have to look into it. And the next swipe is that you're in school in attendance. Does anybody have any questions for me? Raise your hand high if you didn't get a phone wallet or you're going to be out of luck. Well, why you didn't get them? Like, what's this all about? Yeah, I know, Mr. Hempline. Your side was perfect, just like always. My side sucked, I know. Come see me if you need anything. Be safe. Be smart. Be well.
Morning. And welcome home. I love the banner, it makes sense. I love the banner because my wife loves the banner, and that means, you know, I've been married for 28 years, also love the banner. However, it's true. But in speaking to you today, I hope to accomplish 4 things. Thing 1, tell you a story and establish its import. 2, make a concession to you, an obvious concession. 3rd, acknowledge your leadership, and it's going to be your leadership that matters here. And finally, give you a sense of what I think we're after. First, story. The story comes to us from ancient Rome, and it talks about the hold that the goddess Kura, or Care, has on human nature. But like all stories, it kind of operates underneath the surface. So it operates on 2 levels, and I hope to make that clear. First, Kura, or Care, is crossing a river, and she sees a patch of clay, and she goes to it, and she thoughtfully forms a figure. And while she's contemplating what she has done, Jupiter happens by, and she asks him to give it spirit, which he does. And then they begin to dispute over who should name this new being. At that point, Earth speaks up and says, I should name it, for it came from part of my body. They can't figure it out. They call to Saturn to be arbiter, and he offers a fair judgment. He says, when this being dies, its spirit will return to Jupiter, its body to Earth. We shall call it Homo, because it comes to us from humus. But all the days that it lives, because it has been formed by Care, it will be bound to Care. Now I'm going to tell you one way or the other, now or later, you're going to care. If you care now, you have the ability to drive events. You have the ability to gain outcomes for yourself. Are you going to have all of your hopes of your senior year? No. Can you get most of them? Some of them? Yes, if you care now. If you care now, you're going to wash your hands, you're going to maintain your social distance, you're going to wear your mask. It's not part of your habit. Kids are social animals, they congregate together. So hard, I get that. If you care now when you're sick, you're going to call off. If you contract this, if you care now, you're going to recognize it's not leprosy. We're not sending you to an island for the rest of your days. It's a virus like anything else. We just don't have immunities to it yet. You're going to be fine. If you can do these things, just follow the guidelines. We can keep the school open, and you can be in charge of events to the best of your ability. Now, you can act carelessly now, and then we may have to shut down. You'll care then. It's a different sort of care. But either way, having been formed by Care, and we have, one way or the other, we're going to care. Now look, I'm going to concede to you that you're not getting the best deal. And it's perfectly understandable to be angry, to feel sorry for yourself. It's perfectly understandable in human nature to think, I'm not getting it. Understandable. What's not understandable is to act out of that anger and self-pity and play the old, but it's my senior year. Or, I'm good. We'll do it anyway. That's not understandable. Thinking like that initially can be, but acting out of that is not. The story of Care is not to goad you into doing what we want you to do. Stories don't work that way. To care is to transcend. To transcend yourself, your normal limits. To care is to come to know the self. There are only 2 educations, education in self and an education in values. To care is critical. care is to transcend your circumstances. And you have not the best circumstances. You have an opportunity, if you care, to transcend yourself, to transcend your circumstances, and make this work. Now I'm going to acknowledge that only you can lead us through this. The administration, the fact that we're going to do our jobs, have done our jobs, it's all going to be set up. I remember being a freshman here. You know, you're in your freshman fog. You don't know what's going on. But you never, ever fail to notice what the seniors are doing. That's how you learn what to do, what not to do, what to be, what to become. They're going to watch you. If you take this seriously, if you care, they're going to see it. I was speaking with Mr. Bavilia, who was graduated a year behind me, and we're in the fact that we're talking like coaches. Like this is a contest for us, that we want to win. And I went home and I thought about it later. I can't win. It's not my ball. It's you. We both had the same ideas. It was funny. Actually, it's not funny. We both went here at the same time. Both coaches, both pursue academic. So it's not that odd. But there's a narrative out there that drives me out of my mind. Because the people who espouse this narrative never went here. And the narrative is prep has lost a step. It's not what it used to be. I hate it. It drives me nuts because it is wrong. Last spring, when every other school couldn't get it done, we lost 1 day. I mean, I'm getting emails, everyone's getting emails from the principal, 9, 10 o'clock at night on that long weekend, all 4 nights. Am I right? I'm typing in. What the heck is she doing? Tuesday, we had the only day you missed. The faculty's here. The play came in. We're trying to make sure we can run it right. And on Wednesday, we're teaching. Everybody had to step back and go, oh. Rep really is the lead dog. Yes, we are. You have a chance. I'm going to use Mr. Bavilia's words. You have a chance to end that narrative. In his words, to put distance between prep and every other school for all time. If we can do what other schools think they can't do, which is to have everybody in the building, have classes, and make it work. One of my favorite authors, I won't tell you his name, he'll ruin your life. He's a Stanford professor. When I read him, it's an exercise in humility. I realize, okay, not smart, he's smart. He says, to inhabit the world humanly, you must be a creature of legacy. So when we say you student bodies, classes, have a legacy, it's not a consolation prize. To inhabit the world humanly, you must be a creature of legacy. You have the opportunity. Again, I wish you didn't have this opportunity. I wish it were a normal year. But this is our reality. This is what we got, and it's still a lot. You are creatures who have been crafted by care. You will care. To care for one another is the goal here at Prep. Care for one another gets us through this. To inhabit the world humanly, you must be a creature of legacy. It's right there for you. You can kill that narrative. I want to win this one. But I'm not going to get it.